Welcome back to the channel. This is Simon Cromer, and today we're going to talk about whether or not you should wet sand your boat. Should you do it? Should you not do it? What are the pros? What are the cons? We're going to find out today. Let's dive into the video right now. I am super fired up and excited to make this video today, guys. So let's go ahead and let's dive into it. So why would you even think about wet sanding your boat? So that is the first question we have to ask ourselves. And the reason for that is oxidation. So what is oxidation? Oxidation is a buildup layer. It's an extra layer that builds on top of your gel coat from extreme UV exposure, sunlight, elements, weathering, water, all that stuff, guys. It bakes onto your gel coat and it creates an extra layer that on top of your gel coat that you need to remove in order to fully restore your boat. I mean, think about it, guys. The ocean, the lakes, water being around, think of it just like your bathtub. Over time, stuff builds up on that gel coat. Stuff builds up on that fiberglass and it needs to be removed. So the environment that boats are in is a perfect scenario for stuff to just keep clinging and building and building and building upon, and that's why oxidation gets worse and worse and worse the longer you let it go. Now, people might ask the question, well, how is that bad? Is that actually hurting my gel coat? Well, here's the thing. When you have your gel coat free, open in air, right, spacious, and it's able to breathe, and you have a protective sealant, wax, ceramic coating on it, this blocks out water, this blocks out sunlight, all this stuff. When your boat is oxidized, now it absorbs water, so you're getting a lot of water exposure to the gel coat, which can damage that over time, along with the sun and the UV exposure, guys. It's just damaging and eating away at your gel coat, so this is an issue. Let's get back on track and talk about wet sanding. So here's the thing, guys. I want to make 3 super simple notes and tips for you guys. So sanding is made to remove layers. So think about it. If you're doing a woodworking project, if you're trying to sand down a piece of wood, you're going to sand it because you're trying to strip a layer off. Guys, when you're buffing creates heat. Wool pads create heat. This is going to move the gel coat around. It heats up the gel coat. Now it allows the gel coat to move, and that's why you are able to fill those scratches in and make a clear, fresh, clean surface. Polishing is a similar thing, but on an even lower level. And then waxing, guys, waxing does 0 in terms of removing gel coat, removing anything, removing oxidation. Waxing does none of that. That's simply a protective layer that goes on your boat. There is a misconception out there that a lot of boat owners and even a lot of detailers have, and it's the fact that they think they can buff out heavy oxidation. So here's the deal, guys. When you're buffing, again, you're creating heat. You're not removing a layer, you're polishing something, you're making it shiny. So a lot of these products, a lot of these compounds and polishes, they have silicas in them, they have silicones, they have fillers, they have all kinds of cleaners and abrasives. And guys, they are shiny products that help create shine to your boat. That's why when you spray down a compound after you're done compounding, you'll notice it's super hydrophobic because it has these properties in it. So all you're doing is you're moving around something and you're making it look shiny. So I gotta give a shout out here to Drake from Drake's Detailing. He gets this, guys. He understands, and that's why he does a lot of wet sanding. He fully understands this concept. So a lot of detailers do not understand this, but guys, that's why you see when people work on colored boats and they're done compounding. So when it was super heavy oxidized, they compounded it, they waxed it, and that's why in a couple weeks they will see that white oxidation come back to that color because they never fully removed all of that oxidation. All they did was move it around, they polished it up, they shined it up, but they're still, guys, they did not get to the root of the problem. So this is where so many detailers and so many boat owners fail. So that's why I'm making this video, so that people understand why you would wet sand your boat. I will say that on any jobs that I wet sanded, I've always noticed that my sealants, my products that I use for coatings always last longer than any boats that perhaps had oxidation that I did not wet sand. So I've noticed that sealants hold up a lot better even if you have slight scratches versus actually waxing over oxidation. Oxidation is the worst thing that you can put a sealant on. And this is also where you run the risk of turning the gel coat yellow. So that's another reason, guys. If you don't get all the oxidation out, you can run the risk of turning your gel coat yellow. You can run the risk when you're buffing your boat, super bad oxidation. And you're not really turning the gel coat yellow, you're turning the oxidation yellow, which just means you need to remove more. You need to take more off. There's still oxidation there. So that is why when you seal something up, if you're sealing your non-skid, your fiberglass, if something turns yellow, you did not remove all the oxidation out of that boat. So let's talk about some of the pros of wet sanding, and I think we already covered a few. Number one is that it removes oxidation effectively. It is way more effective than actually buffing through heavy oxidation. Number two pro is that it saves a lot of time, guys. When you're trying to buff through heavy oxidation, it could take you days and days and days upon days, whereas wet sanding is probably about 4 to 5 times faster than buffing, so that is a big pro. A con of wet sanding, especially if you're a boat owner, guys, because as a detailer, I factor these costs into my quote. So these sanding pads can get expensive. They can be anywhere from $2 to $4 per pad, and you can run through quite a bit depending on how big your boat is. Like, you can run through 50 to 100, so it can get expensive pretty quick. Another con of wet sanding, and this is the big one, is you run the risk of taking off too much gel coat. So if you're inexperienced, you can compromise future detailing to your boat, and you can also actually take off the gel coat too much where you actually have to get it resprayed, which can cost you thousands of dollars. So if you're inexperienced, I could understand why this could be scary. So some things you could do is you can consult a professional detailer who has experience wet sanding, such as myself. Obviously, if you're not from Ohio in my area, that doesn't make sense, or learn how to do it, guys. It's always better to take off less than to take off more. So you want to kind of time it up, and as you go through the rounds of sanding, you want to time it up to the point where on that last round or the last 2 rounds, so you want that second to last round to take off that final part of oxidation, and then you want that final round of whether that's 2,000 or 3,000 to break down some of those extra scratches to help you for the buffing process. So you don't want to have to wet sand. If you have a boat, guys, you don't want to have to wet sand your boat more than twice. So there is a limit, 2 times. You don't want to have to wet sand your boat more than 2 times. This really jeopardizes a lot of things on your gel coat, and it really could cause a lot of problems. So do it right, guys. If your boat's super oxidized, do it right, get it done right, and then maintain your boat. Don't let this happen more than twice, okay, guys? So that is my tip to you. You guys might be wondering, now, how do I actually wet sand? Well, this video is not meant to teach you how to wet sand. I 100% need to make a video like this on the future. But guys, so we talked about today the pros and the cons. Do I recommend wet sanding? And my answer is yes. If you have a heavily oxidized boat, you should wet sand your boat. Now, here is what wet sanding is not for. If you have a boat, it's heavy oxidized, but you are not committed to taking care of it in the future, then don't do it, guys, okay? Wet sanding is made for a once or twice type of thing. So if you're gonna get it done properly or you're gonna do it yourself, you need to maintain this moving forward. So that is for the people, for the people and the boaters who really do care about their boat and they wanna take care of it. We talked about pros, we talked about cons. Now I'm putting this into your guys' hands to make that decision for yourself. So guys, I'm gonna end the video here. Make sure to leave a like. Leave a comment, guys. I want to hear your comments, your thoughts, if you have any questions. And be sure to share this to other people. I know this information in here was super valuable. So if you have anyone or any boaters who you think could benefit from this information, please share it with them, guys. That helps me and it helps us grow as a channel. So guys, with that said, if you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? I've been releasing all kinds of videos. Hit that subscribe button now, and I will see you on the next video. Peace out.